right, what's going on, folks? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to another episode of the Bordello. I'm pumped to have Freeway Frank on the pod. You're a local legend here in the radio scene, in Canadian radio. You've been a mainstay for a considerable amount of time, and I'm humbled that you're here. Thanks for doing this. No,
I really appreciate you saying that, and I laughed. By the way, I don't know if you know, as soon as you said legend, but then you did say local, so I was like, okay, I'll take that. Thank you. Man.
I'm honest.
It made me feel good.
I'm honest.
Yeah, you said you grew up listening to
local legend.
Yeah, thank you.
You're part of local folklore.
That's it. Thank you. That means a lot, and I appreciate being here in your home, this close to you. I mean, I'm glad it's
our knees are touching right now.
They were about a second ago. I kind of moved it, but every couple of minutes,
I say I
get really comfortable and I get closer to Sam.
No, yeah. It feels like anytime they touch, they kind of shock, like it's a car battery.
Exactly.
Well, that's being zapped. We gotta just accept the boost and just touch the whole entire
touch, and that's it. So now we're touching, and everything is cool, man.
No one sees what's going on underneath this table.
It's very weird.
But. Yeah, up here we're acting like everything's cool, but down here it's a crisis of identity right now.
And you just gave me an espresso, and I just drank it. I brushed my teeth before coming here. I didn't think I was going to be this close to you, so now I could. You know when you smell your own breath, and I could smell. You smell the coffee coming off. Of
I
me?
don't.
The fumes.
I appreciate.
Tristan does for sure.
I appreciate what
going this way.
Yeah, I appreciate what a wop you are. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that anymore.
What a wop you are.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I posted a clip the other day where I called myself a wop, and I had people commenting. Not that I've ever cared what fucking what moms and dads comment on TikTok. Every time I post on the Montreal TikTok algo, every time I wind up in the local algo, it's all parents that are just that are commenting and critiquing that which I'm saying. It's a lot more moms per capita when I go local for some reason.
They don't like you.
A lot of them don't get the satire or the sarcasm.
They don't get,
and I'm not going to explain it to them, but I got a lot of, you can't say WAP.
I think you could say WAP if you're Italian.
I think so,
it's
too.
It's like the N-word.
Hey,
if you're black, you could say the word. If not,
how about this? I think anyone could say WAP, and I don't give a shit. How about that? That's the thing that a lot of people will try to, push is that, hey, it's our word. We could reclaim it. I don't care if anyone says it.
And then that's censorship, but we don't like that, especially guys like you and me. So
no, I do not.
So you could call me a WAP.
But you are, and that's where that's coming from. That's where that's coming from. That's where that's coming from, where you're saying I can't breathe on you. I don't care. I'm not smelling your breath. I'm not smelling the coffee. But in your mind, it's
the Italian thing.
It's like an 8 on 10 problem right now.
Yeah, it's always even more. It's 12 on 10.
Fucking brutta figura in someone's house.
But you know what, Sam? That's the one thing when I started my career that I wanted to do, and that's not. I was always proud to be Italian, and I notice, I watch your podcast. I know you're proud. You're a proud Italian, but it's always I wanted to work on my speech and how I speak, because I didn't want to be one of those, WAPs, let's say, one of those Italians. Nothing wrong with our community, nothing wrong with being an East End, Montreal Italian, whatever it is, but I wouldn't have gone, I think, 30 years in radio if I was saying tink, ting, and three. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
And the one thing that I respect about you, buddy, and I'm not, because you called me a local legend, and I'm going to throw some positiveness towards Sam. One thing that I love about you, I first heard about you when I was on the Pantelis podcast, and then we met like moments after. Right?
Yeah, we crossed like 2 ships in the night.
And you said some nice things to me, but besides that, then I went and I watched.
I did tell you my mother-in-law loves you.
Yeah,
which
in
hindsight, I went back to my car and was like, oh, fuck, I think he hates me now.
Well, no, I did say, I thought to myself, okay, so he's what, mid-20s? I mean, I was expecting him to say, hey, I not love you, but I know of you. My mother-in-law loves you. I go, ooh, old. It makes me feel old. But it's okay. It's okay. Because the minute I walked into your home today, within a minute, he made 2 references to my age, and I felt like shit anyway. Then I had a coffee and a water, and I'm good now.
Well, you know what it is? It's that. Here's the thing. I'm an adult legally, okay? Yeah. Under the law, I'm an adult. But we're in my parents' basement right now, and I haven't moved out yet, So,
it's their rules.
Yeah, and I think I will probably this year. That's in the plans. And I still want to keep coming back and using the studio. I'm still going to use the space,
Yeah.
All that to say, that doesn't feel like how an adult behaves, mooching off. I guess in the culture that we kind of grew up in, it's not as taboo. But it's like, instead of renting a place of your own and spreading your wings and being independent, you got to come back to the nest, to wet your beak a little and record the pot. It feels like I'm an adult, but you're a man. Does that make sense? So when you're coming over, I guess I just I'm Japanese with it. I kind of really wanted to establish the cultural.
Yes, and you said you could be my dad.
Well, you could,
and I could. Well, yeah, I could technically.
You got gray in your beard.
Yeah,
you have a
no,
career. You have a reputation.
Yes.
You have tact. You're less crass.
Yes.
You're a man.
Yeah.
I'm an adult, technically.
Yes.
You're a man. That's where, and I got home ice advantage now because I had a coffee before too, but I brushed my teeth before, and I told D'Lo, I'm gonna brush my teeth. I'm gonna fucking get real close to him and make him think that Sam always smells like this. I didn't have a chance to sprint because you were on time. You were a little early by a couple minutes. I wanted to just douse the entrance with a little acqua di Parma before you got in because it smelled like beef bourguignon because I live at home with my brother before going to work.
I actually watched your
my
brother
dad
eat for the first 2 minutes I was here. It was very interesting.
Yeah. It's his pregame meal before he goes to work in a bank. He's like, he's got a shirt on. He's fucking having a little beef, get a little protein in, and then he's off to work.
But Sam, I think you're smart, by the way, living in your parents' basement. I think a lot of people, they might be driving expensive vehicles, living in their own pad.
Not me. The Civic out front is mine, baby.
No, but you're smart because look, you're mid-20s, and the smart thing to do is to stay here as long as you can and save your money and be in better shape in 5-10 years, and especially because you're a comic and you're working on your craft. That's the smartest thing you could be doing now.
Yeah,
so.
I pushed my girlfriend to her wits' end. I've realized I'm not going to be one of those guys that's like a broke artist who's just okay with however it goes and is going to sit back and just and trust that it will work out in the creative space. And fuck it, I'll live like a bohemian. That's not going to be me. I have a girlfriend. Here's the thing. She bought low, okay, expecting, which is fun. No, I was 20. I was 20. I was 20 when we started dating a few years ago. So naturally, when you're a chick and you're dating a guy in university, your age, you are investing low. Men are kind of at their peak. In your case, you got to figure it out. You could have a kid tomorrow if you wanted to. I don't know if you do, but generally, you're fine. Yes. You could kind of just.
I've tried, and it hasn't worked.
I did. Yeah, you want to pry, but you could burn the boats tomorrow, and I'm sure you love your wife, but you could start all over with a woman my age, and is it kind of socially? Is it frowned upon? Yeah, but people will gossip about it.
People are doing it.
Yeah, in public,
droves.
People will. You could bring her out to an event, be like, yeah, this is my wife. This is my wife. Fucking, Stefania. I feel like that's a on brand name. Yeah, Stefania.
Stephanie is my wife's name, and she is.
Is it really?
Nice.
I actually knew that, but it was deep in the back of my hippocampus. I forgotten about that because I heard you mention it on the radio before. But sure, let's say Stefania, fucking from JMSB, from Laval. she's my new wife. You could do that, and people would only gossip behind closed doors. You could take her out in public. No one will be like, "What the hell's he doing?" Whereas if you were a woman dating a guy my age, you'd be like, "What the hell's going on?"
Totally.
You'd get looks. My point is, you're kind of in your prime now. I was not when she started dating me, and she bought low because that's what you're doing as a chick who's 20 dating a guy your age, in the hope that this guy will get his he'll get his act together and figure it out over time. I was in business school at the time.
Yeah,
I was on pace to do that. I still may yet figure it out, but I'm in a very different field now than I was when we started dating. And she's cool. She likes what I'm doing. I think she believes in it, but it's a more complicated path now. And so I'm kind of mindful of that. And I'm like, listen, I can't put you through the mud with me. I still need to kind of figure it out as I go. And so now she's kind of at a point where we've kind of got to take the next step and get out of home because we both live at home and we're about the same age. It's kind of like, it's fine, it's acceptable, but I'm going to have to kind of play the balancing act and concurrently try to have a respectable livelihood while pursuing this thing, which I won't see a payout for maybe a decade.
Yeah, at least. But the thing is, you're Generation Zero, right? You're just at the cusp of Millennial Z.
Yeah.
And most women that are Generation Z, I shouldn't generalize like this because that's the people who probably watch this podcast. So I'm not trying to trash a whole generation, but it says a lot about your girlfriend that she bought you low. Your Bitcoin right at the start. And when you hit, she was there with you from the start. Dude,
I haven't hit yet.
No,
I
but,
think
but
if anything,
says something
I
about
think
you
we've
that
dropped
she's
off
with
a
you.
little, though. That's the point. We were here going up in the business world, stability. Now we're kind of here where it's like, hey, he lost his mind a little and is now doing stand up. That's down here.
That's not losing your mind. That's what you want to do.
Sure.
Right?
Anyway.
And it's your love and passion. So look, there are other girls in her age group that wouldn't even entertain. I'm not saying a guy like you, but because a guy who's starting from the bottom, right? A guy who's doing stand up is like, oh, this guy's not going to be able to pay for anything for me and all that. They have high expectations. So the fact that she's with you, what's her name?
Paula
Says something about Paula, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
she really loves you, man.
No, she's the best. No,
Yeah.
she's
So that's
great.
a good thing. She's been with you from the bottom.
Yeah. However, now
Yeah,
listen.
here comes the turning
I'm
point.
very happy. I'm very happy with her. But
but
if I were with her, it is true that there's this idea that the comic can't provide for you when he's doing open mics at 1:30 in the morning on Crescent Street. However, there is a romance to it. I could still work it. I could work with it. I could spin zone it if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Just babe, if you're watching, I'm very happy, but I could still make it work. I could, I could make it work. You just make up for it. You keep them laughing, keep them distracted. Don't worry about reality. Let's
look,
have
a key
fun.
to a woman's heart is what they say: food and laughter. So, are you a cook?
Occasionally, I make a good
but
paella.
you're funny. So at least you're funny. You could provide humor, and she's gonna be there for a long time.
I think it's important to know that you could both. You're not stuck with each other to where it's like you're fucked without them.
Yeah.
Emotionally, maybe, but not in the dating market.
Yeah.
If I died tomorrow, I like to think that she'd be, we're not even married, but I like to think she'd be a widow forever and she'd be distraught for the rest of her
not
life.
gonna happen, yeah.
But if she wanted to, if she decided, yeah, I'm over it, she could get right back in, no problem.
Yeah.
I like to think that I could also, but it's like you still choose to be together. That's what's nice about it. That's
How long
what's
have
nice
you been
about
together?
6 years.
Oh, okay.
We were very young. We started dating, but we're choosing to still be together. That's what's cool.
Yeah. And don't you be doing
social
anything
contract.
crazy like getting married in your 20s or anything like that? Yeah.
No. Don't have to tell. Hey, all right. Don't have to tell me twice. Sure. Just bought me another 2 years.
Did I bring that up?
Great. I'm sorry for wearing sunglasses inside too.
No, you have lights here that are.
I have lights
they're
and
bright. They're
and,
bright lights.
a blinking tick, which I'm very mindful of, very self-conscious
You
of.
have a blinking tick.
A little bit of a
I
tick,
would
yeah.
never have noticed.
Flares
that.
up once. Yeah, because I got sunglasses
You got
on.
sunglasses. Hence why you wear the sunglasses. Now it makes sense.
That's what's up. So, where did Freeway come from? Isn't that a criminal's name?
Yeah, there's a Freeway Ricky Ross. Is that him? Yeah, he was a murderer.
No relation.
No relation, unfortunately. I wish I had a cool story. Okay, I'm going to tell you the story. So you were born. Can I mention the year you were born?
I was born
1997.
born in 97. Yeah.
Summer of 1995. You guys remember a movie way before your time, 2 years before your time, called Free Willy?
I do
remember the Michael Jackson song?
Of course, yeah.
Right. So there was this huge. I don't even know if it was a
This
Disney
flawless
movie.
execution of the song, by the way. Three notes. Da da da.
Exactly.
You know that song? Da da da.
Da da da. And so that summer I worked for a radio station in Vancouver, and he put me in a car, 1995 red Mazda Miata convertible, where I would drive around, Sam, and look for people that had the radio station sticker on it. I was younger than you, and I had to stop people. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I'm going to meet all kinds of chicks this summer, right? This is the perfect gig for meeting women. I'm just going to stop all the hot women, sticker or not. And imagine I had 10 envelopes, and the 10 envelopes, one always had, you guys don't even remember the purple $1,000 bill? You guys remember that?
I've seen pictures.
Yeah, I see. And 9 $100 bills. So anyway, the story of it was I had to be in this vehicle. In Vancouver, they call les autoroutes or highways freeways.
Right.
And so the movie was Free Willy, so they wanted to call me Freeway Willy.
Okay.
And the first thing, we were at a meeting, I'll never forget it, in the meeting room at the radio station, and the program director says, and Frank, we have because we all used radio names at the time. I don't know if you remember that. It was a big thing, right? Back in the day, radio, so you'd be memorable, you'd have a moniker.
Crazy Jim.
So this guy, says, you're going to be Freeway Willy. And the first thing that I said is, I am never going to get laid if I use the name Willie. I mean, Willie, look at us now, right? So I said, I paused for a second, and as I was going to say the name I thought of, the assistant program director out loud says, no, that's stupid. How about Freeway Frank? And I was like, sold.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
The alliteration, the punch.
The alliteration. And then for many years on hit radio, I dropped the Frank. I was just Freeway. I thought that was cool.
It is cool.
Never had a chance. I never blew any opportunities meeting women because it was the best gig in the world. And I got on the radio doing actual radio shows. And the rest is history. I always kept it because I did national shows. I moved across the country, city to city. I did satellite. And it was just easy for me to just keep using the name. And so I kept it. And they tried to remove it from me a few times in radio. And I thought, no, that's my name, Freeway Frank. And it's, something that I've held on to. So
do you like hiding the last name, or do you it never really comes out, and you just kind of keep it that way? If someone writes an article about you, they'll say Frank.
Yeah.
So I forgot what your last name. I heard
they'll say it, but no, I never hid it. I'll tell you the truth. When I started in radio, in my first year of radio, and I was on the air here in Montreal doing overnights. The program director was from Toronto, and when I told him my last name, he goes, "Oh, you can't use that name." And I was like, "Wait." He says, "Can you imagine saying this today? Too Italian."
Yeah.
So I go, "Well, what are we going to use?" He goes, "You're Frank Kelly." So my first radio name was Frank Kelly, Irish guy, right? I couldn't be any. You like the word wop?
It's crazy.
I was so woppy, already, trying to get rid of the accent from Montreal North, and I'm using Frank Kelly. Okay, worked on my accent, used that. I remember telling my dad for the first time coming. I still have the tag, the name tag, Frank Kelly, with the radio station 990 Hits. My dad was so disappointed. Ma cos'è questo Frank Kelly?
Yeah.
Perché c'è un problema con il nome De Paolo, non è un bello nome.
You got to say, yes, there is. I was told explicitly, your name is a problem.
I said, it's too Italian. He goes, you know what he said? He looked at me, Sam, and he said, see, you're never going to go anywhere in this business. Because my dad said, people like us don't go on the radio. Don't go on television. This is what my dad told me. He was a butcher. Great guy, but he discouraged me right off the bat like a true Italian does. Fuck it. Be something else. Be a doctor. Do anything else. But this radio thing's not going to work out.
Sure.
So years later, when the radio gig worked out, he became my biggest fan till he passed away. So he used to listen. He didn't even understand what the hell I was doing. And he would listen to the radio on the net and listen to me do shows across the country. But anyway, so that was how I started with Frank Kelly and Freeway Frank. So
your dad ever own a butcher shop?
No, he worked for, you're too young to remember, Parma Foods, which was Primo, Parma. And,
okay. I think, I've heard of it. Would you ever get to go in? I don't suspect they had bring your kid to work day back in the butcher, but also it was like what, the 80s and the 70s. So who the hell cares if there's a 4-year-old?
Yeah, I was there. We were all
looking
there.
in the back. Yeah,
we were there with
just as long as you don't accidentally get your loins cut off.
Exactly. And they were doing cold cuts, so prosciutto, everything, mortadella, like a piccolo. They were all hanging, and sausages. They were doing the whole thing. So
would you guys do any like DIY at home butchering? Because your dad's got the skill set. Would you do any shit in the garage where you like get a cow and you just like cut steaks for yourself?
Never to that extent, but they did. I think at a neighbor's house, they did it. Well, I never was invited to those meetings. It was dark, but I remember my dad coming home with
Freemasonry.
But it was bad. But like back in the day, they'd come home literally with birds in bags, and you could hear them suffocating. It was And later, I became, just a few years ago. For about 8 years, I started vegan. Then I became vegetarian, and the whole COVID thing changed me and my wife. And
carnivore now?
We eat meat again. As soon as I heard Kim Kardashian and Bill Gates pushing the whole fucking synthetic meats and fake meat agenda, I was like, oh, fuck, I'm out of here.
I'm not listening to a porn star.
No more. Over.
That.
So that ended really quick. But, it was good to go through it because you go through different moments in your life and you realize I want to be open to everything. You could change me on a day. If you could convince me, I don't want to be labeled to any particular side. I hate when people do that. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
Like you're left, you're far right, you're conservative, you're Democrat.
Yeah.
If you have a good idea, I'm with you.
Here's the problem. If you tell people, I'm vegan, all they hear is, I'm vegan.
Yeah, that's right.
So
because vegans like to tell you what?
Right.
They're vegan.
Yeah, but
100% of the time.
Yeah, but they like to hear my pronouns are he, her, and I'm vegan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
When I was vegan,
it comes with baggage.
A lot of baggage.
No, it does.
Yeah.
But now saying you're carnivore also comes with baggage.
Yeah.
Carnivore's a thing now. Being on the carnivore
100%.
diet.
Yeah,
I tried.
Lion's
You ever
diet.
try it? It's impossible.
Uh,
Your asshole can't handle
I
it.
haven't-
The modern asshole can't handle it. They
the-
say we haven't evolved since 10,000,
But we have.
10,000 BC. We have enough that my ass knows. Maybe it would correct in like 2 weeks, but I can't get over that hump. I've tried it before just as an experiment. I wanted to do it for a month. I couldn't get over the 10-day hump.
Yeah.
Where my ass was just calling out to me, saying, "What are you putting me through?" Yeah.
So if you can't handle it at your age, imagine me. Imagine my colon at my age. So I'm not sticking to any specific diet. My wife wanted to try it. I do everything.
It's tough, yeah.
So.
But when you do it, people just
I do everything.
People hear black rifle
dudes.
Yeah.
Very close.
People hear. I can only apologize. I can only apologize, but whatever. Point on the board for you. You know, you get one over on me, and then your breath smells like coffee, so I get one over on you.
You're smelling it. Right?
I'm not. I'm really not. You ever been to Italy? You see people fucking having espresso and just getting right in each other's face.
Yeah.
No one gives a shit. Just embody that. Embody the spirit of the Napolitan man who doesn't care. Who just sings. Who just sings.
What part of Italy are you from?
Dici d'Angelo voi. You're fucking into someone's.
You're Napolitan?
No, my dad's Calabria. My mom's Abruzzo. So it's kind of middle ground, I guess, linguistically, phonetically. But the fuck was I saying? Yeah, man. People hear carnivore and they think Black Rifle Coffee Company. They're like, what are you fucking? What are you, Trump? What are you?
Everything is now attributed to something else, right? So, and I hate that. I hate labels, and I just do my own thing now. You get older, you get wiser. I was talking about it on my last podcast. You do what you want. You don't give a shit what people think. The fact you already have that mentality, I wish I had the mentality that I have now at your age, which I think you do. If you don't give a fuck, but you respect people, okay? Have compassion, be respectful.
Selectively.
But selectively, But you don't give a fuck and do your own thing. You'll be much more successful in life.
Yeah, I don't want to tell people how the mental sausage is made.
No.
But I will say, or just how the sausage is made and mentally how you kind of weave it. But I will say, sometimes there are a lot of layups where I want to dunk on people, and sometimes I can't resist it, but I really do feel bad crapping on people sometimes. Just you're saying don't give a fuck, but be respectful. It's kind of an oxymoron in certain ways because it's fun to come out and be all I don't know, be totally unhinged and say fuck you, fuck them all. What do you know? It's fun to kind of play this character where you just lean into it, but at the same time you're like, I don't know, I was a good Catholic boy one day. I was a good Catholic boy once upon a time. Yeah. I feel like I'm being a bad human now, going after a mom who comments, you can't say WAP on a TikTok, and I gotta be. It's like do I want to get into the mud with you? And I don't do the comment thing. I do a lot of posting and ghosting, but it is funny when people will comment something on a post of mine. Just objectively, it's funny to read sometimes, and I think do I riff on this? Do I riff on this on the pod? Or is it punching down? I don't know. It is fun. It is really tempting to do, but
I think you do it well. I've heard you do it. Like, who tried to cancel you recently?
The indigenous.
Well, that's not good.
The indigenous is not good. Yeah,
that's not good. That's one.
Could you help me make amends with Playground Poker Club?
Yes. You could come there, and
I'm good people.
I could introduce you to a few of the bigwigs.
I'll give you my money. I don't care. Please, it was my money.
They don't want your money. They just want your understanding, I guess.
Yeah. Well, no, it was just what happened was just some kid was on the pod who does stand up here, and he's a funny guy, but he was a little nervous, and we were talking about stuff that was. It was above board. We were cool. We were just kind of riffing back and forth, but it was a lot of fragmented back and forth all over the place, and he was kind of just trying to make jokes all the time, which is fine, and we were doing that. But eventually, I'd kind of just, there'd be a little lull in the conversation, and I would go, anyway, that other thing. But I would go, that other thing we were talking about, isn't it funny how? And I would just try to engage in a discussion about something, whatever topic we might have been on. But I wasn't just only riffing. At one point, I kind of killed the momentum. Was like, isn't it interesting how? And the thing we were talking about at one point was just homeless people in Canada, comparing people out west to out here. So out west, I think more people are into like opioids and stuff than they are here. And I've noticed that a
serious problem.
Right. And I've noticed that here, I don't see it as much. I do see a lot of people that just, there's some crack, and I think a lot of the homeless here just drink. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I had kind of observed, and I was just kind of talking about that and saying, yeah, there'll be a lot of homeless people here who are indigenous, and I feel like they're just drinkers more than they are drug users. I'm sure they indulge in both, but I wasn't talking about that. I'm sure there are homeless people that indulge in both. But whatever, that's kind of what we were talking about. And it's so already the tension kind of is like, where are we going with this? But that
I'm not.
But you understand that was kind of
look, you're a comic. So
that's a topic that was broached.
Yeah.
But I wasn't even talking about it in a way that was funny. Not in that.
So make it funny.
No, I know. But for like a brief second, I kind of broached it, and he kind of tensed up, and then we started fucking around a little bit, and that's where we got in trouble.
By who?
No one. We didn't really get in trouble. I just told a story about how there were kids from Kanawake Survival School who would kick everyone's ass at wrestling. And at Loyola, there was a kid who got like flipped on his back, and everyone was like, what the fuck? And the kid who was on made a joke and said, yeah, imagine, dude, you start scalping him. And that's what got the pod in trouble. It was funny, but it's So we cut a clip of it. Probably didn't have to cut a clip of it, but I cut a clip of it. I hashtagged Kanawake and stuff. I was on the shitter in Florida on vacation with my balls in the sun when I cut the clip, and I kind of did it half-assedly. And
those are people you don't want to fuck with.
Yeah, I know.
It's like the Italian mafia.
But it was like an episode of Curb. It was like an episode of Curb where I can't come out and explain. I was like, no, you don't get it. It was a whole pod.
You're the Italian Larry David.
Kind of, yeah. So I think.
So you need to come to Playground.
Whoever runs the Playground Instagram account saw the post and was like, we never heard of you before, and we were happier then. we liked it better when we didn't know who you were.
Yeah.
I was like, no, not Playground. I didn't give a shit about anything prior to that.
Not a gambling facility.
I was like, no, this is too real now. I was like, I can't have the poker club and I can't have the golf club, know me. And they don't. They still don't. I could go there and no one, the women who give massages, the guys who pour drinks, no one knows who Sam Adamo is.
No one will care.
But it takes one psycho to shank you.
Yeah.
I don't know. What if there's a cop there who's had a bad day and I get pulled over and he's like, I've seen you.
You're the guy who made fun of our school.
I can't go. So, yeah, I don't know. We're going to have like a town hall.
Look, we're going to have a little, how do you say it, intervention?
Yeah.
With the people, the powers that be. We're going to bring you there. We're going to have a nice poker game. A couple of drinks, you'll be fine. You'll be back in the club.
I wasn't in trouble really. But I won't get
not in trouble.
But I won't get booked on the comedy show there. Let's put it that way.
The comedy show was last night, yesterday. And you were not on the bill. So.
I will not be on the. I spoke to one of the guys booking, and he's like, "Yeah, no, it's just it's not happening." Optically, But I've accepted it. It's fine. It's a funny thing that happened.
The people that I've met in Ganawagi have been nothing
pod.
but great to me, and I think they have a sense of humor.
A lot of people do, and a lot of people messaged me and said, "Yeah, the pod was funny. Don't worry about it." But I didn't care. I would have kept the clip up. It was just a clip of one pod that made a few people mad. But that's not really. Normally, that wouldn't be an issue. But an article was written about it in the local newspaper.
That too?
Wow. That's where it got. That's
not good. Yeah.
No, but it was funny though. It was funny. Like they were quoting me seriously because in the next episode I was like, "Fuck, they're mad, huh? All right, why don't we lean into this?"
But this is your opportunity. You didn't mean anything by what you said. You're a comedian. You're just having some fun.
Yeah, and no malice was intended. No. If anyone goes back and listens to it, it's actually not problematic. But in the next episode,
what you said, there was nothing.
I talked about it in the next episode. We had fun with it. I doubled down and kind of go to people in a little bit, and I gave them a little rope a dope.
You're good, Sam.
Yeah, I know.
I wouldn't worry.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. But it's part
Ganawagi
of
loves you.
It's part of the lore of the pod. I don't know.
Let's not go that. Ganawagi definitely loves me now. As soon as they find out I've been on this podcast, I
think they would if they knew. But no one's gonna do the due diligence because no one gives a shit. And likewise, by the same token, no one cares about it now anymore, right?
Yeah. So there's a little pocket, in Montreal that you can go through. You don't want to be stopped by Mohawk police.
I had fun with it though.
Let me talk to a few people.
I had fun with it though. We called the newspaper like a few weeks after, and I pretended to be my own lawyer and was like, "You need to take this down. This is defamation, libel." I pretended to be like some French Canadian lawyer. It was a lot of fun. And I didn't actually care that the article was out there, but the kid who was on the pod was losing his mind, so he was like begging me, "Man, you got to help me get this taken down." So I called.
Was the kid indigenous from the?
No. Just the kid who was on the pod who got in trouble for making a joke about
making a joke.
Yeah, which wasn't even anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I had fun with it. We rolled.
Look,
with it.
I'm for.
Now,
what I believe when it comes to comedy is ability to go up and joke around, even whether you're hosting a podcast, whether you're doing stand up. I'm, for free speech. I'm against any kind of censorship. There's a guy I've been following for a long time. Ben, you must know Ben Bankus.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Very funny guy.
I met him a few weeks ago in Toronto. He's a good guy.
Good guy. And he does a lot of, I've been watching him before he even had any viewers, right? and he's a funny guy. Does a lot of stuff that for most is crossing the line.
Well, he dresses himself up like a monkey and says, "I'm the Chinese monkey."
Right.
I'm the Chinese monkey from a Wuhan lab. It's like,
but he's so outrageous.
It's great. It's preposterous.
But he's funny. Like have you seen him do his audience participation and improv? He's brilliant.
Yeah, he's great. He's sharp. He's been doing it a while. He's
very good. And so who?
It was cool to see him work.
I know this is not my podcast, but who are like some of your influences and favorite comics? I'm curious because I'm a comedy fan.
I have a lot. I like the big ones are Burr and Louis C.K. and Maniscalco.
Aren't you embarrassed?
I like the.
You're embarrassed.
Give
me water and a glass. Our knees are touching.
Yeah. No, it's he's the Italian Larry David. Actually, it's not me. It's him.
I actually had him on my show.
No shit.
At Virgin, and he's fantastic. He's a great guy.
I like that he seems like a family guy. He seems like a normal human. A lot of the comics that you'll see on TV are fighting something. They got demons. They're fucking.
They are, yeah.
I mean, most humans are, but he seems like he's on a pretty even keel, which is good. He keeps it under wraps. If he's got demons, here's the thing I like about him. He's classy about it.
He is.
You don't know nothing about what's going on in my life. That's probably the approach he takes. I'm sure he has questions about the universe like the rest of the world. Yeah. But he's not like he's not using his pod that he does with Correale as a brain dump for his for the insanity of his life. Some comics lean into it. He's less into that. He's classy, which I like.
Yeah.
But no, Maniscalco, Burr, Louis. I like Paul Verzi. I like Giannis Pappas a lot. Yeah, man. Joe DeRosa, Joe List, a lot of newer guys who are kind of like 20 years in who aren't like, I don't know, who aren't dead yet. People always talk about the guys who were,
legends.
Yeah, but I study them, but they're kind of before my time. I didn't grow up with them, right? Yeah. So, yeah, kind of those guys. Those are probably like some of my... I have a long list, man. I got a really long list. I'm a nerd with it, right?
That's your thing.
Yeah, it's my thing. Yeah, it's one of the things I kind of... Yeah.
What about JFL?
Listen, I wasn't getting on anyway this year, so
yeah, but you could have been on the. What did they stop doing a couple of years ago? The ethnic show, they called it something else because ethnic was
beyond the culture. Yeah,
whatever. But you could be on that
part of what's it called? Part of the culture or something? I don't know. The culture show.
Whatever. But it was the ethnic show. You could totally have been on that or nasty show. I
like to think so, but they get people that are way more seasoned for that. But
eventually,
yeah. Oh no, I was talking now. I guess here's the thing about being a comic is you're so delusional. We're like, oh yeah, I could do it now. They're all just.
But that's good.
They all suck. Fuck them. They don't see the fucking value of what this is. I don't know. Yeah, I could be proven crazy at some point. But do I care that the festival's canceled? Yeah, it's not good. It's not good for Sam Adamo, and it's not good for his industry.
Yeah.
It's no bueno. It's not good for the city. Just as a citizen here, a person who lives here, it's disappointing. But yeah, it's even if I'm not on the festival, it still is good for me because I'll go there and people from out of town will give me advice on stuff and say, I like you, give me a call, send me a tape, we'll figure this out. You're too green, but in a year, do this. It is a nice, informational hack that we have here, but you have access to, cool resources. So that's gone, and that's not ideal. But yeah, I wasn't getting on. I wasn't getting on this year. I wasn't getting a showcase yet, and so part of me is like, great. The people who I don't like who would have got on, fucking
fuck them. They're not gonna get on.
They're suffering this year. That's good. That gives me a little joy.
Out,
Exactly. Eat that. What are you gonna do now?
Friggate, as my dad used to say.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking yeah. Suck on that for another year. That's all. Because for some comics, some comics here are kind of like really stagnant, man. They've been doing it for a long time, and all they've got is the fact that they're in the town where JFL is, is where it takes place, where it is, where it
put
goes
Montreal
on
the maps.
But as a result, it's kind of a cheat code where they get onto the festival, but it's as a local act because of grant money. So that's a little annoying, and it's like, hey, that little thing that you love so much. Yeah. You don't got it no more.
It's like Canadian content.
Back to the open mics
in radio, same thing, right? The artists that play on the radio that are Canadian are they deserving? Like, are they Drake, or are they somebody that you're just playing to make the 35% quota? It's the same thing.
Let me ask you this, because you were in the Canadian media landscape kind of outside of Montreal for a little while. I mean, you are part of the Canadian media landscape now, but you were more entrenched in other areas. Were you not in Calgary or Edmonton for a while?
Yeah, I was in. So I started in Montreal.
You've done the rounds of most
Montreal,
major Canadian
Vancouver
cities.
for 10 years, Toronto for 7, Calgary for 4, back to Montreal for 10.
So
there's some math on my age.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Right? Quebec is unique. Quebec is kind of like I was talking about this with my father the other day. Quebec is kind of like Denmark or like Finland or Norway. It's like a small European country. Its own language, its own culture, its own TV shows. I'm not really in that clique. I'm not one of these like English elitists. I hate saying Anglo, by the way. Franco-Anglo. It's like the only place in the world where we differentiate according to language. And I get that there are two, but to say Anglo or Franco is so
or allo
intellectual.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Allo.
What is that?
Allophone. There's allophone is us. So it's
that's a made up word. I don't partake.
not
in
in
that.
Quebec. In Quebec, it's Anglo, Franco, allo, which is mother tongue, something else but French or English.
Okay. Yeah. I don't
See?
an allophone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Saxophone.
Not anywhere else.
If you're if you're Sri Lankan in Naples, will they say "Chi sei allophone"? Like no, dude. It's a made up thing.
It's a Quebec thing. Anywhere else, you're not labeled.
It's really weird. Yeah, it's this thing where we're trying to intellectualize the dichotomy between cultures here. It's odd. But so I'm not like an English speaking elitist who doesn't pay any mind to the French media, but I don't really watch a whole lot of stuff on the French side. It's just not the world that I operate in. It's not. So I kind of look at it from the periphery, but it does seem like I don't watch like Tout le monde en parle every Sunday. My dad's more into like, because he's an older guy, he's more into reading a little bit of La Presse. Like he'll read the French newspapers. He'll consume a little bit of French radio. He'll consume a little bit of French TV. But the extent of it for me is kind of just hockey. That's the old adage, right? That hockey kind of is the great, not great equalizer, but it's the great
uniter,
arbiter of who's part of the culture here or not. It's the great uniter, sure. Yeah. But I don't have any disdain for it. I a lot of people I know are kind of like, fuck that. I don't give a shit about that. I'm not like that. I think it's cool. It's charming. I actually enjoy, I enjoy it in what's the word? Not in samples. I don't know. In
spurts.
In spurts. Whatever. I sporadically will consume Quebec local content, but I'm not a guy who knows a whole hell of a lot about it. But it seems to me that they have a very supportive thing going on.
Yeah.
Where they love their own local, their own local talent, and I don't know if that exists as much in the rest of Canada.
Absolutely not.
It feels more heavy-handed, where it's like, all right, we got to fill these quotas, and we got to get this guy on the radio as a result. Does anyone give a shit about the Juno Awards? Yeah, kind of, but also not really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's an accomplishment, but it's kind of a thing where you could watch it and not know who any of the people are for a stretch of 20 minutes. Any name that's any name that's rattled off, you will not know. I get the Bieber will win a thing once in a while or the Weeknd, but it's kind of like those are tricklers that make it through the cracks.
Yeah.
A lot of it is just people that are creating content, of any kind, creating art. No, they're creating art because they're artists, but they're whatever it is, they're musicians or they're actors, but it's localized and it feels like in Quebec you don't have to leave to become well respected. I mean, like Celine Dion was like she's an example of someone who did, but generally
you could have a career here.
You will have a career here because this is kind of the hub. Montreal's kind of like the hub of it all. It's really Montreal and Paris, really.
Yeah. Well, Quebec is unique in the sense that it's the only spot in North America that's this French, place in the middle of nowhere, and they don't want to lose their language and all that. So there's an actual name for it. The Quebec star system, that's the name for what is happening here. So it's our own Hollywood, right?
And the language is so different as well.
Yeah.
Like the distinction between French here and in the rest of the world is so noted. It's so notable, I should say, that they can operate totally on their own without really tapping into French speakers anywhere else. And I know there's a little bit of crossover but it really just is its own little insular thing, kind of like Denmark. If you want to do content in Icelandic, you got to go to Reykjavik. You're not going to Spain. You're not going to Mexico. You're not going to the States. You're trying your hand in English maybe if you want to diversify, but you're hitting your own little target in your own area. That happens in Quebec. The rest of Canada doesn't have that at all, really, it feels like.
No, that's the thing. If you plan on just continuing to do this podcast in English like I do mine in English, and I was talking to Pantelis about this, he has the French cast, and he said, you speak French rather well, Frank. Would you consider it in French? I said, well, I don't think I could be my true self in French.
That's why I don't want to do it either, is it feels off. Yeah.
It feels off. But if you did do a French podcast, or I did a French, or we just started speaking French now, there's better chance that podcast would chart better. I mean, I see. Yeah. Have you looked at the chart, the Canadian comedy or interviews chart on where the podcasts are? I check it.
Quebec does really well, right?
The Quebec podcasts are always doing very well.
Yeah, it's like the block. It's like the block Quebecois.
Exactly.
They just make it into the. They somehow make it into the federal landscape.
Yeah, they're there because they're there to protect the interests of Quebec. Even though I'm totally against the block, but yes, very much. The same way.
It's the same fucking thing. Diolo, I sent you a thing that you might want to pull up here. I want to kind of shift over to this fun little here. Let me just. It's a very low budget operation we got going on here, dude. I gotta scroll over on my laptop. Yeah, so Trudeau said something crazy a couple of weeks ago, and I saw you posted about it. I actually this came onto my radar because you commented on it, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. I want to kind of flag this for when Frank comes on in a week. We'll overlay this after, but if you blast it, we should be able to hear, right? Okay, cool. Let's play this. I want to talk about this thing that Trudeau said last week, just as a media guy. This kind of is of interest to you.
There are the conspiracy theorists, there are the social media drivers who are trying to do everything they can to keep people in their little filter bubbles, to prevent people from actually agreeing on a common set of facts, the way, the CBC and CTV, when they were our only sources of news, used to project across the country, at least a common understanding.
I actually wrote that exact line in my notes on my iPhone. There is out there a deliberate undermining of mainstream media, because I'm going to use that exact line for something in the future.
You want to hit play again just from the start? We missed the first few seconds.
A deliberate undermining of mainstream media.
Okay, pause. Okay, my bad. Okay, so we pretty much got it from the beginning. Right, so he's saying there's a deliberate undermining of mainstream media. Those damn satirists, huh? If they would just keep their minds... If they would keep their minds closed and keep their mouths shut and just not talk about anything, ever. If we could just keep them in a box and put them in the basement and fucking...
That's what he wants.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't like people like you and I speaking out, and giving their opinions. He wants the global CTVs, CBCs to continue delivering the message he pays them for. So.
Here's what's funny. It's almost like he's lamenting the reality of how things are and how much more difficult it's making life for him.
Exactly.
Out in the open saying, shit, my job used to be a lot easier
so great.
When I could just tell people, what I wanted through my mouthpieces in media who we fund, and nobody had any questions. We need to go back to that, because if we can't come to some kind of collective understanding of things, we will always be debating stuff. And you know what? He might be right. Now that I'm hearing it out loud, maybe, and perhaps this is the cynic in me, but maybe we just need people to kind of go along with a certain pre-agreed upon set of truths, whether they're real or not, just for, the sake of blissful ignorance, just for the sake of being able to operate in society without having to debate what's true and what's not. Let's just accept what's true and be happy, and just, accept that there's a chance we might be getting bent over and having it put up our rear ends, but don't think about it.
Exactly.
Just go get a fucking pastry. Go get a coffee and watch the soccer game.
That's it.
Habs are on. Habs are in the playoffs this year. Hey, go play poker. Go play golf. Get drunk. And
that's what the Romans did back in the day, right? They'd have all these distractions, all this buffoonery, clown shows, right? To distract their population while they were pulling things over them, right?
Right.
So that's what he doesn't even realize half the shit that comes out of his mouth. You crystallized what he said into words perfectly, especially for your generation. Anybody watching now should be listening to this Bordello podcast, because what you just said is exactly the issue with this hack.
And you know what's funny too is the Romans did it well, and then that whole empire crumbled, and
Yes.
then new governments arose in Europe. And in like medieval Europe, there were uprisings constantly because you would have all these serfs who were just, who were, I think, most people in society. I mean, I don't know that there were slave classes in Europe in like the Middle Ages, but there were really lower class people who made up crazy amounts of the total population, such that, I mean, they didn't have censuses then, and they didn't have access to info. But I think eventually it became clear to some of them that, hey, there's strength in numbers here. And I think had they known, there's however many nobility and however many people of, a certain, social status above this level on the caste system, and we're all down here. If they would have known that instantly, right? You come into the world, you go to school, and you learn about the demographics. You're like, wait, what? Why are we getting fucked to this extent? I think it almost, I think the lack of info kept them at bay for a while. But eventually, uprisings always happen.
Yes.
Because they kind of put two and two together and realize
The people eventually figure it out.
we're more powerful than them. I heard an interesting thing that in Rome, they wanted to, I don't know who they are. There was a proposal, I think, at one point to have slaves wear a distinct article of clothing so that masters could identify them. And then I think they didn't go through with it because they realized, oh, that's going to be a problem because everyone in the street's going to look at each other and realize they're all of the slave class and realize, oh, shit, there's a lot more of us than there are of them. We're stronger than them. Yeah. So the Romans did a good job of kind of keeping it at bay.
Yeah.
But I feel like in medieval Europe and England, I don't know that there was as much bread and circus. I think that's actually what led to the revolution in France, right? Was people were starving and
But that's what he does.
So we don't have that. We have a good standard of living now, but
Yes.
there's
But in the same way, much in the same way, what you're describing is what he preaches against, and then all he does is identity politics.
it's what he's
right?
fearful of.
It's what he's fearful of, and that's all he promotes. Maybe even, I don't even think he knows half the shit that comes out of his mouth, right? But to not profile people is what he says he wants for Canadians, for us to all be the same. But all he does is profile people. All he does is play that identity politics game. And that's what makes a guy like Trudeau very dangerous. And I'm hoping that people in your generation can see this. Or are they all like just hanging out and don't care? It just seems to me that not enough of people like you in your demographic are talking about this. It's people like me who are fed up.
I don't know. I mean, everyone I know, all my friends. Here's the thing, though. I'm in my own little echo chamber, but all my friends will be like, "Yeah, bro, Trudeau's a homo." All people will all say, "Yeah, Trudeau's gay, bro. Fuck him." Which is a very lazy way of wording it.
Sure.
But it's kind of,
They're probably right, but
they may very well be. Here's the thing. They might mean it literally, but I do think they mean like he's lame. Kind of in the way you'd say it in elementary.
But are they going to go out and vote?
I do think so.
Yeah, I hope so.
There are a lot of people that are disenfranchised, but those people I think are pissed off enough that they will still vote. And the reason I'm bringing that up is to say that most people that I associate with are of the opinion that he's not worth voting for anymore. But I'm not taking, I'm not polling people. There are a lot of people that I probably just wouldn't really want to associate with a ton who love him. And I'm sure there are some people that might vote for him in spite of the fact that they don't love him, but they'll pinch their nose and vote for him because they're voting for him for, I don't know, some policy reason, whatever that is. People make up their minds and might say, okay, I'm not a fan of X or Y, but Z, he's got me over these other over the alternatives. And they might not be as vocal about it. So I'm saying there are people that might still vote for him in spite of the fact that they don't love him. I don't really know. I'm not a pollster.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not StatsCan. But I do suspect that more people than not that are, I'm going to say this delicately, that are coherent in the English language and are my age and have similar education level to me, I think are all kind of on the same page. I do think a lot of the newer immigrants like him. I do think some of them, here's the thing.
They don't know better.
They don't in some cases, but I do think you have to give them more credit than you are. if you're Trudeau, and you might think that you could bank on their vote. I do think eventually people wind up smartening up. In the sense that...
We'll see.
Yeah, but I wonder if they understand that a lot of it is patronizing. I think some of it is now being perceived as being a little show and, what's the word? I think some of it's understood to be a little bit of a dog and pony show among the people that he is trying to placate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, possibly.
I don't know, but it is what I'm kind of getting. But again, I'm not asking everyone out in the world about it. So you and I could talk about this, and we seem to agree on it and say, yeah.
So you brought up this video because what do you want me to say? Because I have a lot to say about Justin Trudeau.
Just wanted to talk about it. I just wanted to talk about it.
You know, I'm not a fan of his, and
I'm aware, but
I give reasons as to why I'm not. I'm open to him at any point saying something that I agree with, and I'll be like, yeah, I agree with you. He has never, besides legalizing marijuana, I don't think he's ever done anything.
That's the big one. That's the big one,
but it's not big enough for me to ever vote. I didn't vote for him the first time around. I turned conservative. I was liberal my whole life when the Liberal Party was more center. You might not remember that because you were born in the late 90s, but the Liberal Party was actually a center party for a long time. He brought it so far left that so many liberals I know who are more liberal than me and more left than me have gone further to the right than even me. Mm-hmm. So he's scary, man. He's a scary guy, and the Liberal Party has become a scary party.
The reason I brought it up is just because it was one of the crazier things I've heard a head of government say ever.
Yeah.
It is one of the crazier isolated remarks that I've ever heard.
He said a lot of crazy stuff during COVID. A true leader shouldn't say things like they're probably racist and misogynist.
You're right, and I guess
those are horrible things for a leader of a country to say.
It's a recency bias, actually, because you're right. There are a lot of crazy things.
You want to polarize the population, say stuff like that, and he did. So, that's how he divided so many people, and that's how so many people turned on each other, including family members and friends. I don't know if I didn't follow you during COVID, so I have no idea where you stand on that. But
I got jabbed. I'm ashamed of it now, but I got jabbed twice, and I said I'm giving him one shot, figuratively and literally. But I said I'm giving you one.
Then you gave him two shots.
I said I'm giving you one opportunity. If you fuck up, too bad. I'm not going back to the well. That's what I said. You know what's funny? I'm now a little ashamed of it because I'm like, oh fuck, I got duped. I should have stuck to my guns. But
you feel duped?
A little bit, yeah. But at the time, you kind of operated on the info that we had available to us, and it was kind of like, hey, we put all of our eggs into this basket. I'm sure it's not going to kill us. I waited a few months for the old people to get it, and I was like, all right, they're not dropping like flies yet. They're weaker than me. If it's for them, it's probably good for, if they could do it and not drop dead, I'm probably fine. Ironically, it seems that the issues arise with like cardiac issues among younger people who are otherwise athletic. So I didn't have the foresight to see that.
Myocarditis.
Yeah, but I wasn't a fan of the idea that I had to get it because I wasn't afraid of getting COVID. That's the thing. I wasn't afraid of getting COVID in 2021, but I still got the shot because it's like I wanted to go back to living, and that's not a great spot to be in as a citizen, but it's a great spot to have people in as the one in charge who wants to make people dance on a string, just to see the extent to which they'll go, along with that which you propose for them. But, I got it. Wasn't a big fan of it, but did it anyway. Feel duped now. But why I especially feel duped is because now I'm realizing how many people had fake vax cards. I'm like, what? I could have gone this way. What?
That would have cost you quite a bit.
There are people that were on the same page as me. They're like, yeah, bro, I didn't get that shit. I was like, but I was in a club with you. What are you talking about? Yeah, I didn't have it. I was like, you didn't tell me at the time? No, bro. I don't know. You could rat on me, bro. You fucking got it. How do I know you're not? How do I know you're not gay, bro? That's again, gay is a pejorative that's often thrown around in the circles that I operate in. I don't do that ever. When there's people on the pod who I respect,
you're not offending me.
But no.
Look,
that's the extent of it. Yeah,
I don't look at somebody like you who got the vaccine as a weak person. I don't look at you as I don't. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you for that.
I don't look at the word sheep. People threw that word around so easily. I don't look at that. if you're okay with your decision, that's fine. Okay. And I never told people not to get it. I was just saying, why can't we question it? Why? And the minute I did that, and the minute I questioned
that was a big no-no.
It was game over for me in terms of I got canceled in so many ways. You know, you didn't make friends over in Ganawagi. I didn't make friends over everywhere else. And
one's more noble. Making enemies in big media is more noble than having a poker club say, "Don't come by here." Yeah.
but look, I have zero regrets because I stood on my own 2 feet. I did research. I asked questions where I didn't get answers. I asked more questions. I'm very happy. In hindsight, looking back now,
yeah, you should be.
I'm ecstatic.
You can say I told you so.
No, I don't. I don't say I told you so. I don't have to.
That's great. Yeah, I know because everyone knows that's
I'm quiet, and the haters and the people that turned on me. I noticed a lot more people starting to refollow me again in our community. You know who the biggest assholes were to me in our community?
Moms?
In our community. Not necessarily, no gender difference, but just people in our community, man. They just fucking ripped me a new one.
Yeah.
And I kept writing to them, you will see one day. And then now that all these truths are starting to come out, it's not like I'm screenshotting it and sending it to them. I don't have to. I look at it as not even a victory. I look at it as, okay, well, you did you. I did me. And here we are now. You decide. You know,
did you have any family that wouldn't associate with you?
No,
thankfully, when you weren't vaxxed?
I was very...
Or were you not vaxxed the whole time?
Oh, I didn't. I'm unvaxxed.
Good for you.
Yeah. And proud of it.
Strong swimmers.
Yeah, and you know what? The funny thing is I never even mentioned it on any of my podcasts up until... Who brought it up? Was it Viva Friday? I can't remember. Somebody brought it up on my podcast. Oh, Tony Marinaro.
Okay.
Tony Marinaro. Actually, there's a clip that you could see where Tony and I discussed that, you know?
What did Tony say? Yeah, look at me, look at you. The stakes are a lot... Frank, let me tell you, the stakes are a lot higher for me. I can't be getting COVID, Frank.
Well, no, he didn't say any of that stuff. He actually respected me throughout the whole time. He was, secretly writing to me saying, I respect what you're saying. But he goes, at some point he did kind of intervene and say, Frank, you got to kill switch here because you're gonna end anything that you might still have in the future by doing this. And I said, I have nothing to lose anymore. I had my career. I had my 30 years. I had my lawsuit with Bell. We closed up with that. And I just felt like I have to be honest. If I can't be honest now more than ever, when am I going to be honest? When it's too late. Sure. So yeah, I'm proud to say that I never got it, but I don't judge people who did. I never did.
I said I'm getting to. I never got boosted.
That's fine. That's fine, but it doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me in any way. And you asked if there were any family members?
I'm rendered impotent either way, but I still, it's a moral victory.
That's for other reasons, maybe. Like it shouldn't be because. But look, you asked me about my family.
Yeah.
Thankfully, my family, I never even tried to influence them. My family made. And I'm not gonna, make public their vaccination status, but they made decisions on their own.
Yeah, sure.
And that's it. The people that I was most disappointed in. And again, I don't say disappointment from a point of, people nowadays throw that word around like, I'm so disappointed in you. It's like their fucking issue, but they're disappointed in me.
Right.
But the people that I was most disappointed in terms of losing friends are the people I believed were really close to me. We had solid friendships. And based on this, you were that quick to drop our friendship. Like we had this amazing... strong friendship together, and just because I said a couple of things, and none of the things I said were don't get vaccinated, they were just like, why can't we ask questions? That was enough to turn them against me.
It's fun to find out which of your friends and which people in your network would have been gassing gypsies at Dachau before 1939.
Absolutely. Yes. We found out a lot.
Yeah.
About people during COVID. I think I
found the noble few, and I found out I would have been a sergeant. I would have made it to sergeant rank, and I would have been the noble Nazi. I would have been the noble Nazi who was freeing them covertly, but who was like, hey, listen, it's the company line.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? Probably, I don't know. I like to think not, but I was watching a documentary on how psychologically a lot of them were able to do it. I've been trying to work this out for the past little while on stage for the past 3 weeks, but it was a crazy documentary. Dilo, I never told you about this, bro. I watched a doc called Ordinary Men. It was a German documentary on Netflix, and the whole kind of premise of the doc is the people that killed for Hitler were and the pod now is just fucking blocked on YouTube right now because I just said the H man. I gotta stop saying his full name. I gotta refer to him as the H man. Apparently, it like fucks you in the YouTube algo. It is what it is.
Thanks for ruining the views on this podcast.
Wait,
I hopes.
What are you gonna do?
Rewind.
What are you gonna do? So, the guys who killed for the H man were largely just regular Germans who enlisted in the army, and they went through training, and then one day they kind of got sat down by their barrack leader, and they got told, all right, task for the day, you got to go in there, take care of those people in that village. And a lot of people didn't have any idea that something like that awaited them when they enlisted in the army, but they kind of just went along with it because it's like it is kind of
mass psychosis.
It's like the Stanford prison experiment, or one of those other classic case studies that often gets cited in psychology classes as to the influence of the herd or the crowd, the mob. And just mass psychosis is a good way of wording it. But again, just all this to say, basically many of the people that did what they did for the Nazis were given an out at one point. They were given an out. They were given an out. And they were said, this is the task for the day. If you don't want to do this, speak now or forever hold your peace. Step forward and, we'll figure it out. But, it's not like an opt-in thing where it's like, hey, those who want to come kill these Jews, come with us. Because that requires a conscious decision. Whereas in this case, it required a conscious decision to opt out. So many people kind of just stood there idly and were like, am I really going to do this? And a few of them did. I found out that those guys wound up just becoming cooks and doing the laundry, by the way. So right there, I was like, oh, that's the joke I've been trying to work out is that's how the Holocaust happened. Because the options are you could be out pillaging with the boys or get called gay for 6 years in the kitchen. Fucking the boys are out and one of them comes back and he's like, hey, Gordon Ramsay, you feel good about what you're doing fucking in the kitchen, fucking it's bombing now and it's been sometimes it kills and sometimes it bombs. but all that to say it's a really delicate thing, the human mind. Do I want to be shamed by the boys? The boys are all out pillaging. They're all out killing. What am I going to fucking be a problem here? Am I going to be with the boys? It's crazy that that's all it took to just kind of get these people to flip a switch and say, oh, well, I didn't want to ruffle feathers.
Well, you just described the last couple of years with that example.
You have a few friends that would have been gassing gypsies at Dachau. That's all it is, man. The craziest thing I've heard is that a friend of mine was like celebrating Easter and he was unvaccinated and so was his brother. And his aunt, his crazy Greek aunt, told her kids, their cousins, don't go near them. Don't go near your cousins. They're unvaccinated. It's like,
I heard a lot of that stuff.
It's crazy.
It is
crazy.
People died in the hospital by themselves. Nonnas, yayas, all these poor people with no family members around because the herd was
saved a lot of people the social obligation and go
maybe
show
they
face
don't want to be there maybe they don't want to go to
side.
those funerals where they were all wearing masks or sorry you can't come to the wake. Oh, okay. But it was to me something that I never thought I would witness in my life. And looking back now and just the way you described it, that's exactly how people can be manipulated. And that was a great example. You're really good at this, by the way.
Thanks, man.
And I hope more people, I say this because it's important, that more people in your generation think like you, because it's happened in the past and history does repeat itself in many different forms. And I wouldn't be surprised if it happened again soon.
There are a lot of crazies out there.
There
are a lot of crazy people who are never going to be with something like this.
No.
But I will say that again, I haven't polled everyone, but the world I operate in and the people I seem to interact with all are of an opinion that it's at least worth considering what's going on as opposed to getting into the tribal thing.
Yeah.
Tribal people are loud, but it's not the majority of the world. It's an uncomfortable segment of the population, but it's not everyone. So I take solace in that and hope that, we can still, not to be the weird free speech comedy guy. I'm going to say what I want, but it is helpful if more people are just cool.
Yeah, and
just be chill.
Yeah, and I think you said it earlier. There are crazies on both sides, You know, it's not only left wing people that are wing nuts.
I don't want to be the fuck Trudeau guy.
Yeah. No, and I never. And you know what? I think you cannot find, unless I was referencing it, you can't find me anywhere saying fuck Trudeau, except for now they're gonna keep playing it over and over. But because I don't think you need to go down that road. I like to keep things at least moderately classy. And the minute you start using language like that, and it's not like I don't use profanity, but something so specific as fuck Trudeau, the minute you start saying that, you lose people.
Yeah. And here's the problem is when you go down that rabbit hole and you keep feeding into it, right? Feedback loop, you just keep, you keep regurgitating the same stuff, and you pontificate to the same people. You pontificate to the same group of people. You're not finding a new audience. You're just going for where the money is. You're like, you know what? This is working out for me. I'm getting whatever I need out of this, be it clicks, attention, or money.
People are doing that, yeah.
I'm now comfortable with, the system that I've created where I talk about Trudeau. I say fuck Trudeau, or fuck Joe Biden, or fuck Trump, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
You say F this person. This is my area. I'm staying in my lane, and I have my audience. Once you do that, it's over. And I'll tell you why. Because even if you think that Trudeau's a problem, to make it your whole identity and say, I'm going to just bash this guy regularly and everything that he espouses and everything that everyone in his party ever says, right? If you do that, then you have what happens to me sometimes at a lesser scale, but this would happen all the time if I was the fuck Trudeau guys. You'll get guys DMing you saying, yeah, did you know that Putin is the king of the Jews? Mm-hmm. Like if you go down that rabbit hole, you'll just curate like a crazy audience who's like sending you stuff. Yeah, bro, you're going to see, you want to see what's really happening. Look at this, bro. If you just come out and are always F Trudeau, you will have crazy people who listen to you. Yeah. And
I admit I have crazy people.
Well, so do I, but it would be exclusively that.
Yes. It's not exclusively that.
Of course.
But they do send that.
No, because your pod's it's not really partisan, nor is mine. And even then, because I'm just kind of normal, I will get people that are like, hey, you're on my side. You're with me, right? You're cool. Let me tell you what's really going on. Putin, king of the Jews. The Jews did 9/11. You get insane people when you kind of go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
It's just what I was telling you off pod before is you get crazies either way, but it's just a transposition.
Yeah.
Is that a word? I don't know.
Yeah, you get the moon landing deniers, you get the 9/11.
You get the moon landing deniers on one side.
Yeah,
you get you get the space is fake people on one side, and then on the other side you get the
flat world
speech is violence. You get the speech is violence people on one side, and you don't want to have dinner with either of them.
No,
well, maybe dinner once because it's fun.
It's fun.
If you want to smoke a cigarette with, you want to smoke a cigarette
cigar,
with them. Yeah, or a cigar.
You smoke cigarettes?
No, but
only at low-level hockey games.
I know. I now know just by how you reacted what you smoke.
Yeah, I got cigarettes in the fridge from Mexico, and I've had them for 2 years. Okay. It's one of those. I got a carton. You can open it.
I didn't even see what's back here. Let's. Okay, you're a soccer fan. I know that.
Yeah, let's wrap on this. We got the day Balotelli was sold by Milan. We've got the Ovio Lorenzo Insigne collaboration that was done last year. My girlfriend got me that shirt when she was in Ottawa, where one of the OVO stores is, but it's got a Toronto FC logo on the front, so I still got the label on it, and I'm never going to take it off, and I'm never going to wear it, but from the back it looks cool, because it's like a crossover of, Canadian and Italian cultures.
Yeah.
Federico Macheda shirt, who's a Man United, I was going to say legend, he's not. He's a player from Manchester United folklore who scored a goal at 17 and then fell off the face of the earth and went to go play for Panathinaikos in Greece, and when I was in Mykonos, I saw his shirt on the street and bought it. And it's a crop top on me. It's a size extra small. I accidentally got a kid's small, and I thought I was getting a men's small. And those are two paintings. Sorry, no, those are two pictures taken by Ciro Pipoli, who's a photographer in Naples. Ciro Pipoli's this guy who's got a massive following who takes pictures of urban Naples.
Nice.
And I bought two of his prints. T90s that Cannavaro wore in the 2006 World Cup final. Not the exact boots that he wore, but the same model. And
you're a Juve fan?
I am, yeah.
Oh, well, obviously there's Fino La Fina, but there's also a Lotelli there. So.
Yeah, well, I got the Juve jersey just above.
Oh, yeah, right there.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
My girlfriend.
My dad was a big Juve fan, and Bari, because he's from Bari.
Oh, he's a Bari guy. Okay,
then they went to Serie A, right? And then now they're back in
Serie B. Yeah, they're owned by the same guy
Yeah.
that owns Napoli. Let's end on this. I mean, I'm having a good time here. I don't know if you need to go right now.
No, I don't need to go anywhere.
Okay, well,
I just have to beat traffic. But
yeah, no, you're good. We'll wrap real short. excuse me, we'll wrap real shortly here, but I want to end on Bari here because if we go down the Bari rabbit hole, it's going to take us into a whole different area for another 30 minutes. But I will say there's one thing that I want you to see before we go. The thing I sent you yesterday. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah. This is Tony Marinaro's biggest fan.
Io sono Montreal, Canada.
Da Canada vieni tu? Montreal. Ma come si sta in Canada?
Se sta bene, ma mi toglie
Però
me.
siete triste.
Beh sì.
Si sciuti vivi per lavoro.
No, sono anni e anni che vivo là, ma vengo ogni tanto a vacanza.
Ma te, che lingue si parla? Inglese?
Inglese e francese, lo so chi.
Tu parli tutte e due?
Tutte e due.
Parli francese?
Beh oui,
Do you speak English?
absolutely.
E le varvi che fine hanno
Straight
fatto?
from Ciociaro.
Belle, valvive.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's my.
By the way, I was in.
That guy listens to Marinaro in the playoffs.
For a fact.
Oh, I
Or you're just saying, like you spotted him or heard him.
I'd
But
bet the house on it.
I was in Bari a couple of years ago. I'm going back to Italy this summer, but
That was Barese. For any layman watching.
Yes,
That was,
and I grew up with that dialect in the house with Giovinazzi's, and my mom's from Milano, imagine. That's where my dad got.
I didn't know that
got
about you.
scholared, so he went up north, and he was like, people from the south.
Yeah.
Not a good thing when, especially back in those days when my mom brought my dad home.
Yeah, that's like a movie. It's a movie from the 60s.
It's a movie, but in Bari, unless it's the older generation, like I mean really old, 80 plus, nobody speaks that dialect anymore. It's sad. Even you have to go to the real small towns, but even in a place like Bari città, you will not hear it. So people your age, youngsters, and all, speak perfect Italian, which wasn't the case
At
30
home?
years ago.
At home?
Yeah. Really? Yes.
That surprises me.
Yeah. I mean, again, if you come from a real small town, but even in a place like Bari città, you would think the dialect would be more, predominant on the street. You don't hear it. You don't hear it. I was talking to the youth there saying, but do you speak it? Nah, our grandparents used to speak it. They cringe,
Yeah.
Why you speak Barese? I go, well, I could, but my parents taught me proper Italian. But yeah, but I would never speak it. That's the way they've developed there, so that's good. You don't want them necessarily speaking that way because Barese is it sounds like
It's Albanian. That's the joke I always make.
I always say it's
Albanian.
Chinese. It speaks like it sounds like it's from. There's Mandarin, there's Cantonese, and then there's Giovinazzi's. I don't know if you've ever heard it. It's a disaster. It's a mess.
Yeah, well, they sound like they have marbles in their mouth all the time.
Exactly.
That's anyway, but that's the story.
Very nice.
That's the story of what we got going on back here. And so your dad was from Bari, but he was a Juve fan. Yeah, the people's team. Funnily enough, run by an industrialist, by an Italian industrialist, one of the richest men in all of Italy. But Italy's so fun because the people's team isn't like a commoner's team, run by, the people's team should be like Napoli or something, in some ways for most Italians abroad, because most Italians abroad are Southern. And Aurelio De Laurentiis, who owns the team, was big in the world of cinema, which is, I think, very on brand for Italy, just show and, flair and so on. And he's crazy. He's insane and he's unhinged. But Juve were able to kind of always run a tight ship. Gian Agnelli with the suits, classy. Didn't sound like the way that a lot of the Italians abroad sound, but still was able to relate to them in a lot of ways. I do think that a reason why they're very popular in Italy is because a lot of Sicilians and Calabrians went to Turin to work in the factories and kind of, grew up supporting the team as a result. And I think some of that, I guess when going back home, I'm reaching here, but
And like anything else, it's championships too. The more you win,
that
people will jump in
helps.
also.
Yeah, that helps. That helps for sure.
They lost me during the scandal there. The whole
Which
when
one?
When they went down to which one?
Yeah.
Well, that's how long they lost me. When they went down to Serie B during the whole betting scandal. What was that with the refs back in the?
We were
you probably
framed.
10 years
we
old.
We were framed.
We were framed.
I was
Yeah,
eight.
well,
I
that's
was 8 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. After that, but even though I'll be watching the Euro and all that, but I'm not as into it as I was 10 years ago.
We need another scandal to bring you back.
Yeah.
That's what I
Maybe.
think. To set the ship right. We need a scandal to win a World Cup is usually how it works. The last 2 World Cups we won were in the aftermath of 2 crazy betting scandals that marred Italian that marred Italian soccer. Paolo Rossi in 1982. was like banned for a year, I think, prior to that tournament, which is crazy. And prior to the 2006 World Cup, I don't know if you know this deal. You remember Gianluca Pesotto, the name? He was a defender for Juve, and he, I think, retired the year before Italy won the World Cup. And there was this weird incident where, like, after the feds came down on HQ in Torino at Juve, Pesotto was a director at the time working for the club. He just walked off the balcony and attempted suicide in a weird incident where he kind of, like, he was clutching a cross, survived the incident. The team kind of rallied around him because there was a large, cohort of players on the team that were Juventini, or that played for Juve, I should say. They're not Juve fans, but they were of Juve, and it kind of traumatized them. And they went back before the Germany game. I think Zambrotta and Del Piero went back to Italy to visit this guy in the hospital, and they kind of all rallied around him because many of them knew him from the national team. But yeah, he claims like it wasn't, I don't know, the public narrative was, no, it wasn't a suicide attempt, but he fucking just jumped off a balcony with a cross. It was like this weird episode where he was like possessed, and he survived, and now he's fine. He's back working, I think, with the team. Or
how many floors?
Not enough, clearly. I think like 3 type of thing. So it was a pseudo. It might have been a cry for help.
Cry for help.
I don't know. But when crazy stuff happens, when it's a soap opera, good shit usually is cooking.
Alleged suicide.
Alleged suicide attempt.
You just made it sound like it was 100%. There's alleged suicide
attempt. Just zoom in. I can't zoom in on your screen here. Weeks after his retirement as a footballer, he survived a 15-meter fall from a fourth-story window at the headquarters of Juventus on the 27th of June 2006. For perspective, we won the World Cup on July 9th. So this is like 12 days before.
Footnote, he
was holding a rosary. It is believed he was attempting suicide in the wake of the Calciopoli scandal, which led to the club being stripped of 2 Serie A titles and their relegation to Serie B for the first time in history. He suffered multiple fractures and internal bleeding from the fall. On the 17th of July 2006, medical staff declared him out of danger and stated that he would not have any long-term brain damage or physical paralysis. His wife later declared that it had not been a suicide attempt, but that Pesotto had blacked out. He grabbed the rosary to blackout. And you know what? That might be more believable. But that's funny. Just coming to his defense saying, no. He's clear of mind. He's clear of mind.
Again, very Italian.
Bella figura.
Yeah,
bella figura.
It's always about that.
It's all about appearances. Don't tell anyone. That's a Maniscalco joke, is don't tell anyone what's going on in this house.
Yeah.
That's funny.
My dad used to say that all the time. State zit.
Yeah.
Why? I can't. No, sit in a nude. Nothing.
Yeah. So this is great, by the way. Yeah, my girlfriend loves that I'm airing out like our family's dirty laundry. I was at her grandmother's house, and let me tell you, these people are something. It's a lot of that. It's a lot of that, man. But
it's the fizzy water.
It's content. Yeah, go for it. I appreciate you coming on, man. This was a lot of fun.
Sam, you're great.
This is
Honestly,
cool.
I'm not just blowing steam towards your way. I'm blowing coffee breath. But
thanks, man.
As I said, there should be more people like you doing. Oh no, actually, we don't need. I take that back. Rewind. We don't need any more podcasters. It's saturated. But what I like about you is. And I told my wife this before coming here. I go, there's something about him that I like. He's articulate, well-spoken. He's, I don't know, you're a good rep for the community. So all those moms on Reddit trashing you, be nice.
Keep at it. No, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'll give it right back to you. It wouldn't have been possible. It wouldn't have been made possible without guys like you paving the way. So thanks for that.
Thanks, man.
And thanks for giving me the time of day. I appreciate it. For Dilo, for Freeway Frank, for Francesco Di Paolo. I'm Sam Adamo. I'm Sam Adamo on Instagram, wherever you can follow me. I'm Sam Adamo. Please sub to the pod, toss a like on this bitch, and if you're listening to the pod on an audio platform, apparently rating it helps us. So please do that. We are 6 years in, and we're still asking people to rate the podcast. Please give it a rating. You could tune into Frank's show, The Drive By with Freeway Frank. On YouTube sometimes, on audio platforms all the time.
YouTube with guests, audio all the time, Spotify, Apple, and everywhere else. You get your podcast.
You do a great thing. You got a great operation running. So if you're listening to this and you don't already know who Frank is, please check it out. And yeah, man, till next time. I don't know if this is coming out as a bonus pod or if this is going to come out as a main episode, but no, this was great, man. I appreciate it. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. Till next time, we'll catch you soon. Alla prossima. Ciao.